Hello and welcome to the RacingBet preview. We are live and we are on the Cup Week come down. Melbourne Cup Carnival is over and it's a very steep drop in the quality of racing. I'm your host, Tim Geers, joined by Trent, Crebbin. Trent, you were there on Stakes Day to round out the Carnival. How was your experience at Flemington, and looking forward to getting in straight from Cup Week to Cranbourne Cup?
Yeah, it was fantastic, to be honest. We saw a couple of superstars light up track. Nature Strip, Zaki, my personal favourite, of course. Nature Strip bolted in as expected, but it was a great day on track, and we came away with a pretty decent collect on Stakes Day, so it was good to round up the Carnival with a good win.
All right, this episode is brought to you by winnersbet.com.au. Like I alluded to, we have a fairly steep drop-off in quality of racing this weekend. We have the Cranbourne Cup headlining racing in Victoria. We've got the $1 Million, the Hunter, another week, another $1 Million race in New South Wales. We're heading to Newcastle for that one. Can't say my interest in that meeting is terrific. But what I am excited for is the Ascot Carnival over here in Perth, the Tab Touch Masters, which starts next weekend. But the good racing over here has actually been going on for a few weeks now, and it's time to turn the attention to our carnival over here. And we've got a triple header of Group 3s at Ascot this weekend. We've got the RJ Peters Stakes, the WA Champion Filly Stakes, and of course the Colonel Reeves, which is basically the main lead up to the Winterbottom Stakes in a couple of weeks' time. So plenty of good racing to get into. It doesn't stop there. We've got another, a few more exciting horses going around on the card at Ascot, which we'll get into shortly. But first, we better tick the boxes of Melbourne and Sydney. Trent, have you had a decent look at the Cranbourne card, and how do you expect the Cranbourne track to play? I think there's a little bit of rain predicted, if I'm right.
Yes, I have had a look at the card, kind of my Thursday morning overlook, and it is tricky trying to predict things early because there's a lot of rain in Melbourne around, especially Friday. I think there's 20 to 30 mils, and Saturday there's around 10 to 15 mils predicted. So if we get kind of in the middle range of that, at least, I think we're definitely going to be on a heavy track. You know, Cranbourne doesn't dry like Flemington does, and it's going to be quite wet, and that can be tricky at Cranbourne. Sometimes it can play on pace, sometimes they can get right off the fence. I think you're definitely going to want to look for wet trackers, but it's going to be tricky to determine kind of what pattern there is. So yeah, tough, but definitely wet trackers on the cards.
All right, well, let's not waste any time, and we'll get into your best bet of the day at Cranbourne. We'll take a look at that, which comes up in the Cranbourne Cup. We'll then shoot over and take a look at the Hunter in New South Wales, and then we'll come back to Ascot and get through a couple of the feature races on the card here in Perth. So Cranbourne Cup, and you've made this horse, who is one of yours. He's one of your favourites. Your best bet of the day at Cranbourne, race 7. We're talking about horse number 1, Buffalo River. You're giving him another chance, and looks to get conditions to suit, like you've just said.
Yeah, absolutely. So I jumped off him last start in the Cantala. He was beaten just over 5 lengths there by Superstorm. Look, that was at 1,600 meters on a good 3, basically at Flemington. Gets back to what I think was going to be a heavy track here. He's undefeated on heavy surfaces. I don't think he's ever missed a place on soft tracks. Look, he's got to carry the 60 kilos here, but I think he's going to go straight to the lead. He's drawn barrier 13, but I just think he's just going to cross and keep running here. And he just runs at such a high tempo that so many horses behind him are really going to be struggling in behind him here. And he's just going to keep fighting through the wet ground. You know, he loves wet ground, and he's just on wet ground. I think at his best, he's a Group 1 horse, and this is a listed race, I think. So $7 or so around for him. I think that's acceptable. This is him 2 starts ago. We're on him here at 1,400 meters at Caulfield. He found soft 6 track there, and he led all the way and managed to hold them all off. I think King Magnus and Just a Canter, he beat home, fair and square here. He meets them here again, and he might find it even wetter than a soft 6 here. So look, happy to be with him. $7. I think it's an acceptable price based on his talent and his talent on a wet track especially. So yeah, look, he's one of mine, but I'm definitely going to be with him. Couldn't go around him at that price.
Yeah, okay, so if you look at the market from winnersbet.com.au, as you said, Buffalo River, a $7 chance, $2.50 for the place. Are you likely to be backing him on the nose, or are we going to have a good each-way crack on him?
Probably on the nose for me. Wouldn't talk anyone out of each way, but I feel like he's one of the horses that he probably leads all the way and could potentially gap them, or he could be one that he struggles and falls in a hole a little bit. and misses a place. So I'm not a big each way punter, but look, I certainly wouldn't talk anyone out of it, but I'll probably just be going on the nose.
All right. Current favourite is horse number 11, Our Playboy. He's a $3.90 chance. We've got the likes of Don't Doubt Dory. I think he's trained locally, is he? An $8 chance. We've got Mystery Shot. He's the third emergency at the moment. He's a $10 chance. And we've got the likes of King Magnus, as you mentioned, $7. Age of Chivalry in there at $7.50. So who are our main dangers? Are we just playing Buffalo River, or are you going to spec one or two others in the market?
You look at this stage, I think probably just Buffalo River. Our Playboy won on McKinnon Stakes Day last Saturday. He's on the quick backup. It was a good win there as benchmark 90. He's got to step up again. And he does like wet tracks, this guy. So no queries there. But he's drawn very wide. He's going to get a long way back. He's going to be giving Buffalo River 10 lengths at the corner, I would have thought. So I'm kind of just happy enough to take him on. Age of Chivalry, we were on him last week as well. He's on the backup. Prefer him on a drier deck, so just monitor conditions there. Just a Canter's, a good each way hope. He's just so consistent. Gets to the mile for the first time in Australia, I think, and potentially a query is probably better at 14. King Magnus is probably a lock for your top 4 kind of thing. He's just so consistent. He'll run a great race again. And as you said, Don't Doubt Dory loves wet tracks. He's a really good wet tracker. Is trained at Cranbourne. He'll run another good race as well, but this is a harder race than last start that he won. So there's a number of each way chances. I feel like if Buffalo River turns up at his best, he's clearly the best horse in the race, and so I'll probably just be backing him to win at the moment.
The two best wet trackers in the race are Our Playboy, 5 starts, 4 wins, and Buffalo River, 9 starts, 6 wins, 3 placings. So.
Don't Doubt Dory's also a very good. Don't Doubt Dory's also a very good heavy tracker. At his best, he runs well on heavy tracks. But like you said, yeah, if they're all on a wet track at their best, Buffalo River is definitely the best wet tracker in the field. I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah, tend to agree there, and it could be as simple as backing Buffalo River, saving Our Playboy. But healthy odds there for your best bet of the day, $7 with winnersbet.com.au. All right, now you've got one at a little bit of value for us. Well, I mean, that's pretty good value, but you've got one more at double figure odds on the card at Cranbourne. This comes up in race number 4. You're keen on horse number 12, AUDREY Girl, which is about $12 with WinnersBet.
It is. So she gets down with 53 kilos as a 3-year-old filly against a few of the older horses here. Last start, she took on the Wakeful Group 2 level at Flemington, 2,000 metres. That was probably just out of her class level. She was beaten about 6 lengths there, which is not, a terrible effort. Beaten by Willowy, who of course went on and won the Oaks on Thursday. Go back a couple of starts to this girl. She 2 starts ago, she ran second, beaten a nose by, I think it was Rhinoceros at Caulfield. The start before that, she won her maiden, a pretty handy maiden as well, at Bendigo on a heavy 8. So I think the heavy track will be no problems for her. She gets right down to the weights. Potentially the 2,000 metres was a bridge too far last start. She gets right down in the weights against a few horses that, are potentially have at least reached their mark or are struggling for form a little bit as well. So $12, I'll probably be looking to play her each way, and I think she can run a big race.
Beautiful. Take myself off mute before I start talking. Okay, so that's your best value bet of the day. Race 4, number 12, AUDREY Girl. We'll go over to Newcastle now for the $1 million The Hunter. Another week, another $1 million race, and an increase in prize money just because we needed it in the Golden Eagle during the week, up to $8 million now.
I can't believe they've done that.
The extra 500,000 will make all the difference. Never mind the fact we're racing on heavy 10s every second week and half the meetings are transferred to Newcastle, Kembla during the winter. But anyway, the Golden Eagle's worth $8 million. We might see a completely different field next year just because of that. Anyway, I digress. If we have any comments come through during the show, if whatever you're tuning in on, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, if you've got a thought on a horse or any questions for us to answer during the show, just pop them in the comments there and they'll show up on our end and we can feature them as we go throughout the show. But we're talking about the Hunter here. This is race 8 on the card at Newcastle on the weekend. We'll pull up a market courtesy of winnersbet.com.au. Trent, have you had a look at this race at all?
I have, and found it quite tough, to be honest.
Lost and running, $3.10 favourite. We've got top ranked, having his first start in Australia at $5. Bandersnatch for Team Hawks, Tommy Berry at $6.50. Basically double figures the rest, so far as I can see. You were saying?
Yeah, found it very tricky, to be honest. I thought, Lost and Running looked the obvious, kind of leading into this race. He ran fourth in the Everest, not beaten far, second in the Winners or the Classic Legend or another $1 million race, whatever you want to call it. Beaten just over a length by Eduardo. Deserves the 59 kilos here, but then he's only on drawn barrier 17. I think that will come into 16 or maybe it's 18 the field. I'm not 100% sure there, but drawn very wide. It likes to generally race on pace, so tough draw for him. And then you've got the import top ranked coming over from Great Britain, whose form on paper is not bad at all.
It's not. And look, that's the way I'm going to go. This is a race that's just almost impossible to bet in. And I suppose the only horse that I could come back to have anything on was top ranked. Just a really intriguing horse, intriguing setup. As we mentioned, first start in Australia. Now, a couple of things about this horse. He's had 12 career starts, and every single one of them has been over the mile. Every single start has been over 1,600 metres, which you don't often see for a horse. He resumes here, first up, no trial in Australia, over 1,300. So, of course, that's going to raise some eyebrows, and he's going to need to probably be a little bit sharper than potentially what we've seen in the UK, but we haven't seen him race under 1,600 metres. So we can't exactly make the assumption that he won't be sharp over 1,300 metres. Annabelle Neesham, James McDonald booked to ride. He only rode 10 during Cup week at Flemington, so I think he's in some handy form. I think he won just a few Group 1s during the week, so having him on board is no hindrance at all. And it was interesting listening to Annabelle Neesham this morning on radio saying, basically, James turned up, he knows his form very well, and he said, "Oh, that grey horse you've got, can I ride him?" And she basically, of course, said yes. I'll pop up a replay here. This was his last win, which came in over the mile at Doncaster. You see him in I think he's the red and white cap, the grey horse there. It's not an ideal replay, but this is a little look at him. As I said, this was the last time he won, which was back in March over the mile at Doncaster. This was on a good track, but he has won on soft conditions before. I don't think Newcastle will be overly wet. I think it's a pretty good draining track. So, look, he handles all surfaces. And, the thing that stands out to me in his form is a third placing behind Palace Pier in May. And I know you're pretty, pretty good with your international form. Palace Pier at the time, I think, was the top-rated horse on the planet. Am I correct in saying that?
He was at that time, yeah. So I think a couple have overtaken now. I'm pretty sure he's been retired in the last couple of months. To start, unfortunately. But yeah, at the time,
but that's a ripping form.
He was beaten just over 5 lengths by Palace Pier. Lope Fernandez was second in that race, and he's he'd be a Group 1 miler in Australia. I've got no doubt if he was at his best. It's just you're just betting on the query whether he's turned up. He's somewhere near his best, and he's ready to go. If he pulls out something like a 7-length defeat, and I know he's beaten 5 lengths or whatever it is by Palace Pier, but Palace Pier would gap these horses by 10. So
in Australia or in the UK, Trent, it matters.
Anywhere. I think it would be almost anywhere. He could rock up to Newcastle for the Hunter, and I think he would be putting these horses away. So you're betting on whether he's here and ready to go, but if he is, and especially if there's market support, you don't want to be losing on him.
Yeah. Well drawn, Barry 7. Now, the other thing that stood out to me, and you know how much I'm like a fiend for stats, is his first up record.
5
from 5, first up from a spell. So, look, I just think at the price, what are we getting? $5 at the moment with Winners Bet. I just think you have to back him because if he comes out and wins, I think you'll be kicking yourself that you didn't take $5. Like, that's a good enough price for me to find out just how good he is. Listening to Annabelle, she was saying he could be a Doncaster mile horse. If he was a Doncaster mile horse, then you'd think he'd be pretty effective in a race like this, despite it being 1,300 metres. So, look, with that, phenomenal first up record, undefeated from 5 starts, that form reference behind Palace Pier, the fact he goes in all conditions, J-Mac booked first up, it's just enough for me to have a little spec bet. As I said, in a race where, and I think there's half a dozen chances in this and it could be a blowout. But I'd rather take $5 about him than $3 about Lost and Running. That's my thought on the Hunter. Any other thoughts on the Hunter?
Yeah, I agree with all that. Of the others, potentially, I thought Prime Candidate would run well again. He's very consistent. And of the others, I do hate to say it, but Creadiris could run a decent race. He's $21. Blinkers on $21. Compared to a horse that normally goes around under $5 odds. It'd be the kind of race he'd bob up in. So, yeah, I agree.
If he comes out and win, I'll be sick.
I thought you were going to say he couldn't win, like Very Elegant last week.
No, I'm off saying horses can't win.
Yeah, that's never what you want to say.
From now on, I'll just say I won't be backing, or I'll be backing others. I won't say they can't win. Yeah, I got made to look silly there. All right, I've had enough.
Case, by the way.
I've had, in transport. Could take 3 months to get there.
Sure. Moving
all
on.
Right, let's move on to Ascot. Otherwise, we'll be here all night talking about the Hunter, which no one wants to do. We'll start with my best bet at Ascot, shall we? Which comes up in race number 4, horse number 9, God Has Chosen. This is my best bet last time this horse raced, and he couldn't have been more impressive. Without a doubt, should have won first up at Northam. Absolute moral beat. Just ran up backsides the entire straight. Should have bolted in. Anyway, they switched from Rawilla to Pike. Pike got him going last start. Did have the race kind of run to suit, but this was him finishing over the top of them. And like I said, he just couldn't have been more impressive. This was only his second career start for Lindsay Smith. Like I said, he should be unbeaten for this stable since switching stables. And he looks well suited again. It's a harder race, no doubt. You can see him coming, Pike just hitting the front now. And when he asked him to go, he went and put a gap on them. Harder race, no doubt. That was a graduation handicap he won on this occasion, which he has to step up in class to a 66 rated race here. Takes on some handy horses. You've got the likes of Ginger Flyer. You've got Big Butter Boom. They're both going to be up on speed. You've got Beret, who'll be finishing hard from the back of the field. But look, I think he's going to get the speed to suit here. The likes of Ginger Flyer and Big Butter Boom, they're not going to run this slowly. So there'll be good tempo on. Pike will slot him in from barrier 10 with any luck at all. I think he'll finish over the top. I think he's quite clearly the best bet of the day at Ascot on the weekend, and I'm happy to take $2.20 with winnersbet.com.au. The one at huge odds in this race that I wouldn't dismiss is horse number 1, Blinder. Now, Trent, this will be a horse you're familiar with. He comes over from Victoria. I think he used to be with Buston Young.
I think he was Busted and Young. Yeah, he's got those colours there. A few horses with them.
It could have even been with Hayes before that. I could be wrong.
No, he was Busted and Young. Yeah.
Yeah. So he makes his WA debut here. Carries 60 kilos, but I really, really liked his second trial, which was his latest trial. He kind of was clicked up to do something, and then when he got going, just ran up backsides and basically went to the line untested. But I thought it was a really nice trial. Whether he's going to be able to win this first up 1400, I'm not sure. But look, he did win first up 1400 in Melbourne last preparation, and he has won a couple of times first up before. So I think he's a class horse, good recent trial. I think $23 is over the odds for, a horse who, if he turned up on his best form, should be competitive in a race like this. But pretty keen here. God Has Chosen. Race 4, number 9, $2.20. Be having a good crack at that. A couple of other races on the card. As I mentioned, we've got the Champion Fillies Stakes, we've got the RJ Peters Stakes, and we've got the Colonel Reeve Stakes. We'll bypass the Champion Fillies Stakes and we'll focus on the Colonel Reeve Stakes, which features Elite Street. Current favourite for the Winterbottom Stakes in a couple of weeks' time. Now, he's going to have to do it tough here. Barrier 14, 59.5 kilos, top weight. But this horse has just returned in his best form in his 2 starts, his preparation. They came in the Crawford Stakes first up. He was very good. And I did get a little whisper that he was working the house down ahead of that. And sure enough, he came out and went bang. I didn't make the same mistake last start by letting him go because I took the early price. He was backed into about $1.65 at the jump and put paid to him really easily once again. There was only one horse in the race you wanted to be on. I think it's this replay I'm popping up now. I hope it is anyway. Yep, this is him. Now you can see him. This is Mervyn out the front running them along, and you can see Elite Street just sitting fourth, one off the rail. And at this point, you kind of don't want to be on any other horse in the race. And he rounds these up really quickly, puts paid to him in a matter of strides here. And if there was any doubt that this horse is back to his best, well, this proved it. And pretty quickly after this, you didn't want to be on any other horse in the Winterbottom Stakes. I thought, he still had another gear to go to there. 1,100 metres going to suit him. Like I said, barrier 14 top weight here. He's going to have to do it tough, but once again, he's going to get speed on in this race. You've got Mervyn once again in the race. The likes of Riverbow should push forward from barrier 15. You've got Karakapo. Yeah, you've got so much speed in this race. So I think they'll set it up for him, and I think he'll be the strongest horse late. So I think we're getting around $3.30, which I think is an acceptable price, and I'll be backing him here and probably backing him again in 2 weeks' time in the Winterbottom Stakes. Now, talk to me about Red Can Man. He returns to WA. Steve Wolf said he's basically going to be underdone here first up at 1,100 metres because the tracks down in Albany are waterlogged, so they can't really get the work into him. He's had to bring him up to Belmont for a couple of gallops. From what I understand, the horse is going well, but do you think after his preparation in Melbourne that he can come back to WA and bounce back?
Yeah, look, it's tricky. I'm not really sure what his best distance is, to be honest. He won over 1,100 metres. He beat Malkovich in Melbourne in a Group 3 race. He ran a narrow sixth, only beaten under a length in another Group 3 race at Caulfield. And then he ran a really good race, beaten just over a length and a half or so in the Group 2 PB Lawrence Stakes at 1,400 metres. But then we've also seen him, pretty sure he ran in a railway or he ran in a Guineas or over 1,600 metres, back in WA. So look, I'm not really sure what to do with him, to be honest, over 1,100. I'm not sure whether he's a 1,200 metre horse, 1,400 metre horse, or they could stretch him out to the mile. So look, I'd just be probably taking him on here if you're saying he's probably not ready to go and just seeing what they target him at, whether it's a Winterbottom in a couple of weeks or they look to kind of find a 1,400 metre group race for him later or something else.
Yeah, he's not a miler. 1,600 is not his go.
Okay.
And I think they found that out in the railway last year, but I think they'd probably decided ahead of time this is the preparation we're going to take, thinking he may be a 1,400, 1,600 metre horse. So once you get on the Asian Boneless steer path, but once you get on the Asian Boneless steer path, you kind of need to go to the railway. And you look at his efforts in the Asian Boneless steer. He didn't run badly though. Third and second.
He ran okay in the railway. He was only beaten 2 lengths, ran fourth. I think was it him that was a bit of an issue with as well after that race, and they dropped him back fresh. They backed him. He backed up basically. Yeah, he backed up a week later from 1,600 meters into the Winterbottom and ran sixth. So it was a strange prep.
I don't think he had an issue. I think they just thought he's rock hard fit.
They didn't exactly know what to do with him.
Yeah, and
I think probably better targeted. Just have an actual prep at the Winterbottom and target him for 1,200 is probably a better way to do it. But I'd rather just watch him here.
Yeah, which is kind of what they've done. Like as soon as he ran last in the Memsey, they basically said we're bringing him back for the Winterbottom, and that's going to be his main target. So he's going to have this run. Then he'll have 2 weeks between runs and go into the Winterbottom, where Steve Wolf said basically he'll be cherry ripe for that. That is when he won this the John Monash in Melbourne, was second up. So it's going to be an interesting one. And I'm really fascinated to see how he runs this weekend. But look, Elite Street with 2 runs under the belt, and Elite Street flogged him last year, and Elite Street's been flogging everything. So I think he's the horse to be with. And I'm just going to back him and his class to get him over the line here. And if he doesn't win, I'm absolutely certain he's going to run a monster race. But he's going to do some chasing.
If he doesn't win, he's going to be the flashing light run, and you still want to be on him in the Winterbottom, don't you? He's going to be flashing home for second or third, and he's just the Winterbottom's at his mercy.
Now, speaking of flashing home, I'm glad you've said that because probably outside of the features, no doubt, one of the best races from a viewpoint at Ascot's going to be race number 3. This is a 72 plus over the 1,200 metres, and we get a rematch here between Wilchino and Triple Missile. Add in Secret Plan this time for Pike drawn barrier 1, and once again, this is just a mouth-watering clash. Have a look at this replay from last start. This was just like the best race of all time to watch. You can see Wilchino getting absolutely belted by Zeeble on the outside here. And you've got Triple Missile last on the turn in the light blue colours for Lindsay Smith and Brad Rawiller. And just have a look at the flashing light run from this horse, who broke 22 seconds for the final 400 and broke 11 seconds for the final 200, the only horse on the day to do so. Now, this was just enormous from Wilchino to hold on out the front after the pressure she copped, and enormous from Triple Missile to get that close. Like, it was just an incredible race to watch. I was there live, and the crowd was going absolutely bananas, as they rightly should have been. And I just can't wait to see these two go hammer and tong again on the weekend. The market as it stands is 250 Triple Missile, 340 Wilchino, and 340 Secret Plan. So I don't really know what the market's going to do this time around. Wilchino, well, it's got Zeeble in the race again, drawn underneath it. So I dare say Wilchino won't be leading this race. But, gee, it was an enormous effort to drop that horse after the pressure it copped. But what I will say is that on the day, it looked like they were going like criminal speed out the front. But Elite Street in his win in the, I forget the name of the race, but he actually ran a faster time than Wilchino did, despite how quick they went early in that race. So just goes to show how well Elite Street's going. But yeah, it's really going to be fascinating here with Zeeble burning along out front for the 3 kilo claimer. Wilchino probably sits outside it. You've got Hot Zed somewhere there. Triple Missile draws the outside gate. It's probably going to be last again for Mitchell Pateman. Jockey changed there. Brad Willer off. And it's probably going to be a repeat of what we saw last start. Triple Missile flashing home, trying to run down Wilchino. I haven't quite decided which way I'm going to go yet. I probably need to have a little bit of a further look at the race and just kind of nut out and assess the prices of each runner a little bit further. But I just can't wait for it. I think Triple Missile is a beast. Both of these horses going to the winter bottom where they're going to clash with Elite Street, and then the sparks are going to fly. But yeah, Triple Missile, I just love him as a horse. As I said, broke 22 for the 420 and broke 10 for the didn't break 10, broke 11 for the final 200 last start.
And the key here, just what I'm kind of picking up on some quick form, is that, you know, that was 1,000. They're up to 1,200 now. Wilchino's never seen 1,200 before, and Triple Missile was 2 from 2 at the distance. So whether Wilchino was just softened up late last start, you know, Zeeble's in the race again, he probably takes a sit, but, you know, he's never seen 1,200 before. That's got to be a query, whereas, you know, you'd have to say Triple Missile was looking for it. Secret Plan's coming off 2 1,200-meter runs as well, and it'll be right there. So, yeah, I agree. That last race was electric, and this should be a great race as well.
Great point you make. 7 career wins for Wilchino, 7 over 1,000 meters. So 1,200 meters, especially if it's chasing a hot tempo, it's a big query. Yep. The only saving grace, I suppose, is that the trainer's name is Dan Morton and the jockey's Chris Parnham, and anything they put a saddle on at the moment wins. God bless Catalpa today at Belmont. Secret Plan, add spice. Like barrier 1, sat 3 wide the trip last start as $1.60 favourite and was beaten less than a length. Just, what a cracking race it's going to be. You can just see how it's going to work out. Like Wilchino will be up there outside the leader. Secret Plan will just be sucking the pipe in behind, smoking the pipe in behind, and Triple Missile is just going to be saving up for one last shot at them. I just can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And I hope Triple Missile wins. I really do. Okay. In terms of a value bet at Ascot, I haven't really got that far to this point in time, but I will find one. But I think that'll round us out for our selections for this week's show. Anyway, it's been a good week on the Discord, Trent. We had a couple of winners on Monday. We got a best bet home last night at Happy Valley. Red Majesty, God bless Zach Purton, threw it over the line. And we got, as I said, Catalpa, who we just I had this horse lined up. I wish I had the replay. Just had him lined up since about last Friday when Fields came out. Had him lined up since last start, in fact. It'd be the best ninth you've ever seen. Just got no room at all, held up the entire straight, was probably going to win. And as soon as acceptances came out, I just earmarked this horse, waited for the markets to open. Markets opened and it wasn't even favourite. Sure enough, it started favourite. Don't worry about that. And just got the sweetest run you'll ever see in transit and got up to win. So a great result for those who took the early price of $3.50, started somewhere around $3, got the cash, and it was another good result for the Discord. We might have one for Kyneton tomorrow. Me and Trent have just been chatting during the day whether we're going to send it out or not as a play. At this stage, I think we will. I'm just going to do a little bit more research on the race just to see if I'm confident enough to do so.
I think it's going to be quite wet at Kyneton tomorrow. Just the track's already quite wet, and it's going to cop a few more mils as well. So it's going to be properly in the heavy range. A few whispers around that's going to be cancelled, but if it's not, I think it's going to be heavy 9, heavy 10 range. So,
which is probably a good thing for
the one we're looking at. Yeah.
If you are interested in that, I've already sent out. I've already just given it away on this show anyway. But I think I will have a couple of early plays out for Ascot in the Discord group, and we're just going to keep chipping away with. I think we're starting to find our groove in terms of sending out selections that aren't on the website rather than just regurgitating content that's on the website. Trying to pinpoint a few that don't go on the website and give us a little bit of additional value and not take away from the free content that we're putting out. So if you are interested in signing up or seeing what it's like, we've got a 7-day free trial on the gold package. So head to racingbet.com.au, head to the premium tips section. You can find all the details there. You can sign up for a free trial for a week. If it's your thing, you can stick around. If it's not your thing, then you can cancel at any time. It's as simple as that. Cost effective. And as I said, offers plenty of additional value on top of what we're already offering for free on the website. Trent, any other thoughts before we sign off for this week?
No, I think that covers it. Get stuck in Flemington to Cranbourne on a Saturday. Look, it is what it is, but we can't
One
wait.
for the diehards.
Exactly. One for the diehards on a heavy 10 probably at Cranbourne, but yeah, going up the Buffalo and hopefully we get a few winners.
Beautiful, mate. Yep, you can find all our race-by-race previews. We're going to have Melbourne, Sydney. Well, I shouldn't say Sydney. And I don't even know where Cranbourne is. I'm not from that neck of the woods. But we'll have Cranbourne, Newcastle, and Ascot. Race-by-race, every single one covered on racingbet.com.au. And like I said, in the Discord group, we'll have a few extra plays going as well. All right, that'll do us for this week. Thanks to winnersbet.com.au for their sponsorship of this week's episode. And we look forward to joining you once again next week. In the meantime, good luck on the weekend and have a great weekend on the punt and elsewhere.